Hey guys, welcome to my How to EQ Everything series, and in today's video we do toms. Let's do it. So toms have a unique problem that they are very hard to record. They are very exposed. Microphones are always inconvenient. If you want to place them really well, then the drummer will hit them. If you want to place them in a way that the drummer doesn't hit them, then you always get a somewhat compromised sound. Now, there are really good clip microphones that avoid many of these issues. Some of them are better, some of them are not. The Sennheiser ones are pretty good. I don't like them too much. There are small condenser ones from Audix and other companies that are a bit better, but come, of course, at a higher price point. A lot of times you see the famous MD421s. I have a few of those as well that are really good in capturing the tone, but very hard to place because they're heavy microphones, they're very big microphones, and mine are actually beaten to death, but they still work. So when you record toms, you have to aim just for the best sound that you can get, but of course it's coming down at the source. You really need a good tom. You have to have a tom that is dampened just enough and one that is tuned to perfection. And if you're not a drummer that knows how to do it, or if you're not a sound engineer that knows how to do it, this is something you have to learn. YouTube can be your friend, or just go into any studio and ask a good drum tech to help you with that. It's definitely worth it, because without a well-tuned tom, there is no good tom recording, and therefore EQing it will not make any sense either. So if we jump into Logic here, you will see that I have a few different toms here lined up already. And what you can see is that I've already edited them, because of course there's a lot of stuff just bleed, and I've just edited a couple of hits here. But at this stage I want to mention that for me personally, and this is something I learned from my mentor, is that during preparation, during mix prep, what you do to your toms is that every tom hit you go in like this as much as you can and you cut, and then you go to the next hit down here and you cut, and you do this to every hit. Of course, if you have a lot of subsequent hits, you don't do that, and then you delete everything what's before and after. What I like to do is I actually keep my tom hits quite short, because personally I think, and it's not just me, I actually learned this from watching Chris Lord-Alge, most of the tom tone will come from the overheads, and especially from the room microphones. So you need really good overheads, really good rooms to get a really good tom sound. The tom sound will never ever really come only from the tom microphone itself, from the spot mic. For now I'm gonna keep the bleed, but as you can see I like to cut them really short. I like to cut off the subsequent hits as well. So the top one I would cut here, the bottom one here, to get rid of all of this other stuff before a next hit, and then the long sustain of the tom, if there's a long sustain, will come from the overheads. From the spot mics I only want this nice punch here, the nice spike. So that of course is how I mix toms. This is not just an EQ, this is a complete methodology, and later on I'll show you in one of the future videos how the toms come together when the room and the overheads are added into the mix. So, but for now we keep them as they are, and we have a few different ones. Again, not too good recording, perfect recording, and everything in between. Let's go with number one here. Okay, so we can hear that the bleed is quite moderate. The microphone placement is really good. We can even see from the waveform that the bleed is quite low relative to the usable part of the sound. And the recording is actually quite good as well, I have to say. So I'm gonna bring up my trusty Infinity EQ again, and let's see what we can do to the top one. Now for toms, I actually have a complex preset in my mixing setup, which I'm going to reveal later as well. But here in simple EQ terms, what I want to do is I want to do the usual low cut to get rid of any rumble, because again, a lot of the body will come from the room microphones. I want to add more attack, and I want to add more body, nevertheless, more punch rather. And let's see if we want to remove any mid-range. And the before and after has shown us that we managed to make the tom sound a bit bigger. And now let's have a look at the bottom one. Okay, so this is a juicier one. This is, of course, the floor tom. Decent body, good punch here, but not that much attack. It's always a problem on the floor tom that you don't have enough attack. So you want to boost a lot of the attack. So as you can see, we end up with the kind of camel EQ again, like we did with kick and snare as well. And you know, this is no mistake because it is these areas that are usually lacking. And of course, this is what is usually excessive in every recording, pretty much every recording. So let's have a look at before and after of these two. Now, of course, with all the boosting, we get a lot more of the bleed as well, especially the cymbals become a bit louder. But if we cut off the endings and we do what we did previously with cutting off here, I'm just going to do it roughly. Ideally, you want to do it in a way where you don't even need fades because it's so precise and so tight. Then we do a fade out. So I'm serious, I'm not making fun here. This is how much I would keep of tom recordings in 90% of the cases, because everything else is just too much. It's mud, it's messy, it's not good, and all the sound, all the tone that you get is from the overheads and the room mics. Here I just want more punch, more attack, and a better pointing in the stereo image. You know, that's what this will help me with. And that's it. Let's have a look at the next one. So here we can hear there is a rumble going on in the floor tom. The rack tom is pretty good, but let's have a look. Pretty good sound, but again, we have the same problem. We have a lack of attack. With this much attack, we have, of course, a lack of body now, a lack of punch. And we have, of course, the usual excess mid-range. And what is quite interesting about toms is that we usually expect a very unnatural sound. This is by no way how a tom sounds when you listen to it in the studio, but this is actually what you need in the mix, and this is what we have come to expect after decades and decades of music production. Let's see actually if we can copy-paste this setting over to the floor tom. Let's have a look without. Almost. I think the attack is good, the body is a bit too much, and the cut we need to bring lower because the mud was a bit lower, and I'm gonna remove, lower the low cut as well a little bit. Yeah, so not the perfect recording again, but if we erase all the unwanted stuff and we only keep what we need, then it becomes usable, and of course with the overheads and the rooms in the future it will sound pretty good. So once the bleed is gone, it's good, it's surprisingly good. This is a usable tom. Without. Okay, so it sounds like nothing. It just sounds tiny, like nothing. Again. Well, this sounds almost like it could be in a rock song. Not too bad, not too bad. Let's have a look at a perfect tom example which needs basically no processing. Now this is actually a real tom, but it was recorded in an overdub fashion. So the artist, the musician, he's a drummer, he actually left the tom hits out in his fills. It's crazy. So he played the drums and he kind of mimed the fill. He didn't play the toms and then later added in the toms in a dry recording. I have never seen this before, but it's an excellent production method, to be honest. And it really works because you can get a really good isolated tone. And this one, we can just add the same kind of setting, but it's only to make it bigger. There's no problem solving needed here. Happy days, next one. I remember this was one of my recordings a few years ago. Pretty good, not perfect, but pretty good. Let's have a look at the rack. Let's see if we can do the same camel EQ here. Okay, so yeah, it does work, it does work. So guys, as you can see, I mean, you don't need to buy presets, you don't need to sign up to websites to do. And you're happy, a bit less of that. It's always the same, as you can see. We have EQ'd 8 toms so far. Good recording, bad recording, medium recording, and it's more or less always the same. The excellent recording, the only difference there is that we didn't need to cut any low mids because we didn't have a lot of bleed. It was probably pre-EQ'd already a little bit. It's just perfect, but it's always the same stuff. Look, it's just a little bit different amounts, slightly different frequencies, mostly because of the different recording conditions and the different instrument itself, of course, but it's broadly the same. Let's see how this one is when we do our editing. So here I want to go tight, I want to get rid of that tom hit already, and here I'm just eyeballing it like this. Let's see. Yeah, so good attack. It still has a bit of that dirty sound. This was a bit of a dirty recording, kind of vintage pop ballad kind of sound. We can be even more aggressive with the low mids here if we want. Yeah, now you get into that hollow pop rock kind of tom area, where you just have an attack and the body, but no tonality in the middle. This is usually how toms sound in live concerts. Let's have a look at this one. Can also be more aggressive if we want. Yeah, so this is a more artificial sound. So we have basically removed all the essence of the tone. All the tonality that is in the lower mids is basically gone. It's usable, and I think this would work with the overheads and the rooms, but I'm not sure if it's needed to go this far. Let's have a look at the next one, and this is also the best recording out of the bunch. Not mine, unfortunately. So you can hear this is very, very well tuned. Very consistent tone. I would even, you know what, let's try this. I'm going to even there EQing them all together. Let's have a look. It's very interesting that you can even see the EQ going lower when it hits the note of the 3 hits. Have a look here at the 3 little humps moving down. That's amazing. So I'm going to boost all of them, make it louder. I can hear that the problem is at the usual, somewhere around here, I would say. And let's see how the attack. It's also this area, so I want a lot of that. So the rec is good, but tom 3 and the floor is a bit too bassy, so it's not quite working, but we could get away with it if we really wanted. Let's have a look what happens if we EQ them individually. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this setting and I'm going to paste it over. No. That works. That is perfect. And let's see the floor. So sadly, the floor tom is also the worst sounding one out of the bunch. It's probably the mic is a bit too far from the center or not angled the right way, so we don't get a lot of the attack, we just get a lot of the body, a lot of the punch. But together they still sound great. And then of course, edited. So after editing, you get this good punchy sound that, again, I have to repeat myself, it works well in the context when overheads and rooms are in the mix. Let's see if we can clean it up a little bit more just on the group itself. So that's it. I think this works quite well, I would say. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Let me know if you want to do one-on-one classes with me. I do 1 session or 3 session bundles where we go through everything, all the basics, all the foundations, so you don't need any of these YouTube videos anymore. I really want to help you get to a point where you can come up with your own methods, your own recipes and your own ways of mixing without having to question yourself and doubt and go into Googling and researching things. It's all about the foundations, really. It's all about the basics. There's nothing else to it. As you can see here, we did basically the same thing now on 3 instruments to fixing them. So it's not that hard, really. If you want to work with me, mixing, mastering, recording, hit me up. My website is in the description. Also, if you want one-on-one classes, I'm more than happy to help. 1 class, 3 classes, all of them are 4 or 5 hours long. We can cover a lot of ground. We can focus on one particular issue that you have, or we can do the whole foundation course that I do, which just covers all of the basics, so you don't have to watch any YouTube videos anymore. And most importantly, you can solve your problems because you know the foundations. You don't have any doubt, you don't have any questions anymore that are clouding your judgment. So, hope this video was helpful. I see you in the next one. Until then, happy mixing. Bye-bye.